In this lesson, we're going to make a simple but delicious asparagus risotto that you can make, if you want, in under 30 minutes. Let's start by peeling and trimming the asparagus. I often just simply snap the bottom end. It's an easy way to judge where the asparagus is very woody and the texture will not be so nice. But remember to keep these trimmings. Then very simply, we can peel the body of the asparagus. This is not a real requirement. If you want, you can leave them unpeeled, but it depends on the texture and how big the asparagus are. Once you're done peeling the asparagus, you want to save these peelings, because in a good kitchen, nothing should go to waste. Now let's make a quick vegetarian stock, and you can use any vegetable trimmings you have in your fridge. I'm using a few celery stalks, couple of onion pieces. I like to leave the skins on for nice added colors. The very important part for me are the asparagus peelings and trimmings. This will elevate the flavor of your asparagus risotto. I like to put a little amount of seasoning to my stock and a bay leaf. Now I'll let you in a little Italian secret, not so secret anymore. When you get to the rind of your cheese, save it. This is a flavor bond that will enhance your stock and of course your risotto. Remember to brush it well or rinse it under running water before you use it. Now we're gonna let it simmer for about 10 minutes and then it's go time. While the stock is getting to temperature, I'm gonna start chopping my asparagus. You don't have to be too precise here, but you want to make sure that the pieces of asparagus are more or less all of the same size, so they cook uniformly. I always like to save the tips of asparagus to use as garnish on top of the dish. I've simply divided my chopped asparagus in half. Half will be considered to put into the risotto, while I'm gonna use the other half to make a quick puree. To be quicker, I like to plunge the chopped asparagus straight into the stock. This is a little trick I use at home to be quicker. These asparagus will be cooked in about 2 minutes. Now the asparagus are cooked, so I'm going to simply drain them and I put them into the blender. I'm going to season this with a little salt, add a good amount of olive oil, and I like to add some basil for flavor and color. To help the blending, you can add of course a little bit of the asparagus stock. Consider this an optional step. You don't have to do it to make a good asparagus risotto. And remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's fine if it's grainy. Making vegetable puree, it's a great way to achieve a creamy risotto with less need of butter and cheese. I'm gonna set this aside now and start with the actual cooking of the risotto. I'm gonna start by sweating the shallots with extra virgin olive oil on a medium to high heat. I'm going to season with a pinch of salt so that all the juices are extracted straight away. You need to cook these shallots for about 5 minutes until they are translucent and soft. Once the shallots is ready, I'm going to add the rice straight into the pan, toasting following the traditional method. Okay, now it's time to add rice. For this recipe, I'm using bialone nano, a smaller grain, which will cook quicker. As every risotto recipe, it's a good habit to add a pinch of salt at this stage, so that the salt gets absorbed by the rice as soon as you pour the liquids in. After about 5 minutes, the rice will start to be very hot. Now it's time to pour the white wine in. After deglazing with the wine, make sure you stir it and that it's all absorbed by the rice. And when you can no longer smell the alcohol, it's time to pour the simmery stock in and start the cooking time. As I'm using the alone nano in this recipe that cooks quicker, I'm gonna set my timer to about 15 minutes. Now that we have only a couple of minutes left, I'm going to add in the chopped asparagus and the asparagus puree. Let's stir these two in. You can see how the asparagus puree made this risotto already creamy without adding the cheese yet. I'm gonna add a touch of black pepper, and then I'm using the classic combination of unsalted butter and grated cheese. Now we're gonna stir the butter and the cheese, and remember not to be too aggressive on the rice. Let's have a little taste. This is delicious. Let's move to the plating. To garnish this risotto, I'm simply going to use the asparagus tops. These have been slightly marinated with olive oil, salt and pepper, and not cooked. They will deliver a nice crunchy texture and freshness to the risotto. And here it is, our simple yet delicious asparagus risotto. And I hope this will inspire you to make your own version or other vegetarian risottos.